Hi all, welcome to this special off the post-international break edition. I'm never a big fan of the international break, especially these days. Like when I was growing up, I always used to enjoy it, but I always find, I think now as I'm a bit older, I always find the international breaks, I think it's more to do with, I don't like when they're structured. I feel that's just all that, like I don't find, like say a month into the season, it fits too well. Like, I don't mind October's one, for example, because I feel that's like an ideal time to fit in between, but I just feel a month into the season just never really fits right, if I'm honest. Where maybe they just maybe make a bigger international break, say in October, I don't know. But it's just always something I've just always pondered, but nonetheless, we're still going to talk about it. Obviously, there's African Cup of Nations qualifying, there's Euro qualifying, there's CONCAFAF Nations League, and there is also for like the World Cup qualifying as well for Conmebol, which feels weird to be saying already, but the like joys of when they start it this early, but yeah, you just get on with it really. But nonetheless, we will start off with Euros, because that kind of is main like focus, but we'll work around the world as we go. So obviously tonight we have quite a few games. I love when we get an afternoon game. So starting off today's games is Kazakhstan versus Finland. By the time this goes live, I think that game might be done, or still kicking, still getting played as we talk. Lithuania and Montenegro could be the same situation, depending on when I get this sorted, obviously, folks. And obviously, quarter to 8 games: France, Republic of Ireland, Netherlands, Greece, Czechia versus Albania. I'm surprised BBC still say Czech. Like when you check like certain sites like BBC and so forth, they still say like Czech Republic when they are like internationally recognised as Czechia now. So yeah, it's definitely something that you'd think they would address, but like sadly they don't at the moment. Poland, Faroe Islands, Serbia, Hungary, Denmark, San Marino, Slovenia, Northern Ireland. Do I expect any shocks? Personally, no. I think France will win comfortably. Netherlands should win quite comfortably. Czechia should do just enough against Albania, but it's a very even game. Poland should be more than comfortable against the Faroe Islands, despite Faroe Islands definitely an improving nation, there's no denying it, especially when you look at club and country. Lithuania, Montenegro, I think Montenegro will get through their tie. Serbia should be fine. Finland do just enough over Kazakhstan. Denmark comfortable against San Marino. Could we see a goal? Could we see shots on target from San Marino? Who knows? And if I was to be honest, I think Northern Ireland may sneak a result against Slovenia. Will be hard, but it's going to be there or thereabouts. But it is what it is for the Thursday games. Obviously, from there, obviously in terms of the international break itself, it ends next Tuesday. So Friday's games is where Scotland gets their potential last game, well, potentially their only remaining win that they may require to qualify for the Euros. It could be that could be honestly unheard of. Scotland being like the first nation to qualify for the Euros before like anyone else. And it all depends, I think, on how Georgia Spain finish. That is what the difference is. I think if Spain, I think if Georgia Spain was a draw, I think Scotland just need to win. I think because I think mathematically. I think it near enough becomes near impossible for them to actually not finish like third or something. As long as Scotland like win, I think, because at that point Georgia would have played 4, Scotland would play 5, Norway still on 4, Spain would be on 3, and Cyprus would be on 4. So it would be kind of like unprecedented. I think the only other team that could still qualify first before us is like France and like England, because they're also the only other countries with 5 in their group, but also they have 4 wins, and also how the results have been in their group so far. But see how it goes. It's going to be fun and games. I think Spain do enough to beat Georgia. However, I think Georgia will be hoping for a better return this time round compared to how they were in the previous international break. Cyprus Scotland will be a laugh. I genuinely think Scotland will win. Scotland have only conceded 1 goal. They've scored 9 so far. But these are the games that, despite everything that always happens, Scotland, one way or another, for some reason, previous campaigns would always come unstuck. Part of me thinks this is a different mentality this time, that this isn't going to happen. I remember infamously when we had, France, Italy, Georgia, and whoever else in the group, and it was Georgia. We played Georgia in Tbilisi, and we lost 1-0 or 2-0 or something. And it was we'd done all the hard work, and then we threw it away against Georgia. But then it was when we played Italy, it was it wasn't out the realm still of impossibility. As long as we got a result against Italy, we tried too hard and we lost that. But it would have been a different kettle of fish if we'd beaten Georgia, but I think drew against Italy. It was just the way it fell, but is what it is. Other games from tomorrow: Bosnia-Herzegovina versus Liechtenstein. Bosnia should be comfortable there. Luxembourg-Iceland could be an interesting one. I think Iceland should do enough, but Luxembourg, like Faroe Islands, are an improving nation. So, got to still give them credit. And the thing is, Gerson Rodriguez, for example, who's one of their star men, Shano in defence, they've got really, for their country, they've got individual players that are actually decent. And so Luxembourg, I wouldn't say, Luxembourg are almost, this could be seen as their golden generation, and you never know, you generally never know, and it always makes, I like when it happens. And plus Luxembourg at the moment from 4 games have 7 points. They've won 2, they've lost 1, and they've drew 1. So to get a result against Slovakia is solid. To be sitting 3rd and not be out the realms of qualifying when Liechtenstein are bottom, Iceland are 5th, Bosnia are 4th, and Slovakia's only 3 points clear. It's not out the realms of impossibility. Yes, they've conceded 6 and scored 4, but I would definitely say they have a real chance of maybe sneak. If they were to sneak second and qualify, fair play, I'd be all for it, and you never know, they might get in the playoffs. Slovakia, Portugal, I'm sure Luxembourg will be watching that intently, hoping Portugal will get a result. Croatia, Latvia, I feel Croatia will win pretty comfortably. Turkey, Armenia could be another interesting one, with a number of Armenia's youngsters that are coming through just now. A bit of eyes on them. So Turkey, despite always seen as a dark horse when it's been to competitions in recent years, hasn't been the case, but I feel Turkey Armenia could easily be a draw. Saturday's games, we have Ukraine England, be an interesting one because it's obviously in Poland, but I still feel Ukraine England, England always usually get Ukraine anyway in the qualifiers. I don't know why. It's England always have their same core of nations that they always get, San Marino, Ukraine, Sweden, and you say to yourself, come on, it's always the same old, or Poland, and you just say, aye right, no problem. But Ukraine, I'm sure we'll still give them a good game, and as a Scotland fan, I'd like Ukraine to win, but I can't see it. Draw could be happening, but also depends on the setup. North Macedonia versus Italy could be an interesting one. Spalletti's first game in competitive game. I think Italy under Spalletti could be an exciting team because it seems like they're trying to bring a lot of positivity, which is great to see. Buffon's in the coaching setup and so forth, so it'll be great to see. And I think Italy will want to look to try and defend their crown. That is the important aspect of it all, and turn around the group, try and get at least second and take it from there. Azerbaijan, Belgium, I feel Belgium will win quite comfortably. Estonia, Sweden should be pretty comfortable there. Andorra, Belarus, these are the games, like even for Andorra, like people would write off like Andorra right away, but these are the games where if I was Andorra, I'd be hoping for at least a draw, maybe sneak a win. Kosovo, Switzerland's going to be an interesting game. I feel like Kosovo are quite a steady nation, but I just feel Switzerland defensively rigid. That's what they pride on, and I feel they do just enough. Romania, Israel could easily be a draw or goes either way. Greece, Gibraltar, I feel Greece get a result on Sunday. Republic of Ireland's hard run of games continue, this time in the Netherlands. However, Netherlands' form at the moment would not make me say that Republic of Ireland should be doubting themselves. They could quite easily get a result against the Netherlands if they're up for it and make it hard against the Netherlands, but you never know. Faroe Islands, Moldova. I fancy the Faroes to actually get a result here. Moldova's not a strong nation. Like, yes, they've got a couple individual players that are not bad, but Faroe Islands, I just feel, have just a bit more about them just now than Moldova. That's my personal feelings. Despite going into this group run at the moment, Moldova sit third. And what's funny about like Moldova's group is it's very even still. Going into Czechia sit with 7, Albania with 6, Moldova with 5, Poland with 3, with 2 losses by the way from their first 3 games, and the Faroe Islands with 1. Moldova, to have only 1 loss is pretty impressive. So as much as I'm thinking, Faroe Islands should win, I'm only thinking that because they're at home and Moldova may be more aiming for a draw, but knowing that with a chance that they could legitimately qualify for the Euros, they will want to try and get a win. When they look at Albania, Poland, knowing that Poland need a win, and if I'm honest, Albania at the moment will be hoping they can at least snag a draw against Poland. That's what they'll be hoping for. With how well they're, and to be honest, Albania's got a squad just now, like a few of the other nations, where they've got depth in different areas. Like goalie wise, when you've got Strakosha, Etret, Berisha, you see yourself, you've got 2 very accomplished goalkeepers in net, and that's when you see yourself. And if you've got a solid goal, someone in net, and if you've got decent defenders in front of you, solid midfielders like Barra that plays for Espanyol, for example, and then up front, whether it be Saidaku or whoever or Sikaleshi, depending on who they want to run up front. They've got Albania actually has depth for their country, so it's fair play to them just now that they are able to at least give it a go, and you never know, they might qualify for another Euros, because they have definitely got a squad, I would say, that's capable with against the right group, and this is definitely one of those groups. Montenegro, Bulgaria, I still feel Montenegro will do enough. Lithuania, Serbia, I feel Serbia is just too strong. Then from a Group H perspective, on Saturday, Kazakhstan, Northern Ireland's the early game. I feel Northern Ireland do just enough. The reason why I say that is because it's Michael O'Neill. I feel Michael O'Neill just has Northern Ireland's working better. He has them a much more solid unit, and I feel like him stepping down was a bit of a mistake, and I feel like all the hard work that he had done for Northern Ireland was kind of ruined a bit by Barraclough, and obviously since coming back in, he's not been in too long to kind of get them going again, but I still feel he can make them tick, and that's what it's like Steve Clarke with Scotland. I feel certain people just seem to get the teams working well at an international level, regardless of if it's a big nation or a small nation. They seem to have it just right. Finland, Denmark, very even game. I feel Denmark just too strong. San Marino, Slovenia, I'd love to see San Marino get a result, We all would for once in their lives, but I just feel not going to be. Monday's games, very few actually, which is quite a shame. Like, you'd think they'd actually try and structure it a bit better for like each day. But Iceland, Bosnia Herzegovina, Portugal, Luxembourg, Slovakia, Liechtenstein, Armenia, Croatia and Latvia, Wales. Iceland, Bosnia, probably a draw. Like, Bosnia's maybe just too strong. But Iceland at home, I think the reason why I've got my doubts with Iceland is because they've kind of went away from this, like, the golden generation that was when it qualified for the Euros, and it was a bit of a threat for a few years where not many nations really had an answer for Iceland. Less so now. I just feel like Iceland have maybe just hit a bit of a buffers, but nonetheless they're still a respectable nation nonetheless. Portugal should be too strong for Luxembourg. Slovakia probably just too strong for Liechtenstein. But these are the type of games, if I'm honest, for Liechtenstein to sneak a draw are definitely there. Armenia, Croatia. Croatia should just be too strong. And Wales, I feel, do just enough against Latvia. Then for Tuesday's games, we have Norway, Georgia. Battle of Halland versus Kvaratskhelia. I would say Norway just enough, but to be honest, Georgia's just as physically robust and technically sound as well, so it's definitely an even game. And the good thing is Scotland only have one qualifying game this cycle. Joys of already playing too many games for their worth. Spain should be too strong for Cyprus. Italy too strong for Ukraine. Malta, North Macedonia could be an interesting one. Malta, I always feel at home, are like, you've got to give them at least half a chance against a lot of the smaller nations, but North Macedonia still have like probably just a little bit too much quality. Like Elmas, for example, is like one of the stars in midfield, so it does make a big difference when he's one of your like marquee players. Belgium should be too comfortable against Estonia. Sweden, Austria could easily be a draw. Both are pretty solid nations. Israel, Belarus. Israel probably just over Belarus. Romania, Kosovo. I'd probably lean towards Kosovo, if I'm honest, but could go either way. And Switzerland should be too strong for Andorra. So that is our European qualifiers. From there, obviously, with South America, for like Conmebol, first set of fixtures start tonight with Paraguay versus Peru. Should be an interesting one. Like, personally, just now, I would probably say both nations are about the same in terms of where they're at. And if I'm honest, when I look at all the fixtures, I feel Paraguay, Peru, Colombia, Venezuela, Uruguay, Chile especially, I feel all three fixtures have like draw potential, but also where each of them like could easily win. I feel Argentina, Ecuador, I feel Argentina's just too strong, and Brazil v Bolivia, Brazil for me just too strong. What I always like when it's Bolivia, they're always playing like La Paz, and it's always elevated, so it's like you're always playing, I think they play like, is it 3,000 metres or however high they play, and the thing is, it's like or 3,000 feet, whatever, and you see yourself, so the teams that whoever Bolivia's playing, they're so used to playing at such an elevated height, it makes such a difference for them getting maybe a result against a Brazil or an Argentina, and you see yourself, fair play. But like, these are always a very like interesting debates really with the South American qualifiers, when Conmebol just starts so early, when like the World Cup's not till 2026. But I suppose you've got to factor in how like they work the fixtures, obviously, over the next couple of years, and also they've got to factor in the playoff tie as well. Then second match day, which is like next week, as it were, so Tuesday into Wednesday. The starting off with Bolivia v Argentina, so that'll be a fun one for Bolivia to try and get a result against Messi and co. Ecuador, Uruguay, could go either way. Like Uruguay, I feel should be getting a result, but at times as well you can't discredit Ecuador in their own right. Venezuela, Paraguay, I feel same as I've said with the first group of fixtures, could go either way. Chile, Colombia, same reason. Peru, Brazil, feel Brazil just too strong for Peru. But yeah, that's the two kind of sets of fixtures at the moment for there. Obviously, the way how it all works, because of how they do it now, I think because of the next set of World Cup is 6 of the South American countries will qualify automatically for the World Cup. So that's game changing for when you've only got 10 countries and you've got 6 qualifying automatically. So you've got a 1 in 6 chance before you're sorted right away. But then 7th has the playoff tie. So there's basically 7 nations from South America can qualify for the World Cup. And if I'm honest, the ones that you would say that may not, when you break it deep down, could be Bolivia, could be one of Peru, Ecuador, Paraguay and Venezuela. Realistically, Argentina, Uruguay, Chile, Colombia, Brazil should be qualifying. You pretty much have say 5 nations that you feel right off the bat would qualify. It's when it comes to the other 5 it's more a case of who will qualify, but then for the 3 that you're not so sure, that'll say finish 8th, 9th and 10th, Bolivia sadly most of the time do finish bottom, but then it's where does everyone else fall into place? And but at the same time, is it really a bad thing for all 10 countries to actually just be in? Because when you kind of break down some of the how the breakdown is, is it really would it be such a bad thing having all 10 countries? Yes, they've got to do qualifying, but then you could say in theory with the 10 countries that you put them maybe by pot. So if you were if they've got 4 pots, you'd maybe say, well, the top 2 countries are in pot 1, but then you've got 8 spots to fill with the rest of the other 3 pots. So you might say 3 and 4 get pot 2, but then 5th, 6th and 7th pot 3 and 8th, 9th and 10th. But then again, you've got to remember that the 7th nation isn't a guarantee for qualifying because they could lose the playoff, and it's not been the first time it's happened. So something to always factor in. Also important that Ecuador are on a -3 deduction, so they're already playing catch up on everyone, which could play a factor down the line, but will be interesting as well to kind of illustrate as well. Important to note as well with Asia, because people will still ask about this, the Asian Asian qualifying doesn't start till October, so when the next international break, so the first stage of that isn't a factor till a month's time, when the likes of Afghanistan, Mongolia, Cambodia, Pakistan, Chinese Taipei, East Timor, Hong Kong, Bhutan, Indonesia, Brunei, Maldives, Bangladesh, Myanmar even, Macau, Nepal, Laos, Singapore, Guam, Yemen and Sri Lanka all play out for their first ties in the first stage, but we'll get into that in a month's time, so don't worry too much about that. Obviously still important to kind of cover, but I thought got to remember that they're still not a factor. Say just now, 6th round of African Cup of Nations qualifying games is onwards from this weekend, from the weekend on, well, today onwards. So Angola versus Madagascar. And what I always love, I love African Cup of Nations. The only thing that I always find with it nowadays is more so with the the groups, but also how every single group is kind of structured this time round, because it's a bit how do I put it? It's what I think confuses people is this time round that how some of the groups have been structured. So some of the groups are some groups are 3, but some groups are 4. But then they had Group A in particular was a 5-country structure, but obviously now it is a 4-country structure. But it's always just trying to keep up with it and how it kind of flows in this period, as it were. So at the moment, with Group A, I'll run through the fixtures and then I'll run through the respective groups. So for today's games, we have Angola Madagascar, Ghana versus Central African Republic, Algeria v Tanzania, Nigeria versus Uganda, Tunisia versus Botswana. So they're from 5 o'clock and 8 o'clock respectively. Then tomorrow's games are Egypt, Ethiopia, Burkina Faso versus Eswatini, Mali v South Sudan. So they're quite spaced out nicely. And then for lunchtime viewers, which is great because I always it's good over a weekend when you can watch some of the African qualifiers. So we've got Mali v Guinea and Mozambique v Benin taking the afternoon slots. Then the Democratic Republic of Congo and Sudan, Ivory Coast v Lesotho, Mauritania v Gabon, Comoros v Zambia, and Morocco v Liberia, with Senegal and Rwanda rounding off Saturday's games. So some big nations not necessarily playing each other, but some exciting games still to kind of whet your appetite on a Saturday. Sunday just has 3 games, with Nigeria v Sao Tome and Principe, Togo v Cape Verde, Gambia v Congo. Monday only has 1 game, Guinea-Bissau v Sierra Leone, and then Cameroon v Burundi rounding them off. It is important to remember this is the last set of fixtures for the group. So going into the actual group at the moment, Nigeria sitting top of Group A with 12 points and Guinea-Bissau with 10. Both are qualified regardless. Sierra Leone sit 3rd in the group, and Sao Tome and Principe sit 4th, or technically bottom of the group. What's important to highlight as well, that all places are near enough kind of signed, sealed and delivered. Guinea-Bissau have Sierra Leone, so depending how Nigeria were to do against Sao Tome, if they were to draw and Guinea-Bissau were to win, depending on the scoreline, top 2 could be changed, but I'd feel Nigeria will top the group regardless, take top with that, and Guinea-Bissau taking 2nd. Same with Group B. Burkina Faso and Cape Verde are both through and signed, sealed and delivered, with both on 10 points. Basically both just playing for top of the group, Burkina Faso versus Eswatini and Cape Verde v Togo. But I would personally say Burkina Faso probably top the group, because Eswatini currently sit bottom and I don't feel they can sneak 3rd from Togo, respectively. Group C, interesting one with Namibia, Cameroon, Burundi. Cameroon have been pretty woeful with only 1 win, 1 draw, 1 loss. Namibia can't do anything. They have played their 4 games. What they're basically needing to rely on is Cameroon and Burundi to draw, because then it gets confusing, because Namibia have scored 6 but conceded 6, Cameroon have scored 3 and conceded 3, and Burundi have scored 4 and conceded 4. So depending on what the score, I think if the scoreline was to be say 2-2, I'm not sure what would happen, because I think, if I'm right in thinking, Namibia would finish bottom of the group on a head-to-head basis, but there's so many permutations to that. I'd have to really check, and yeah, it's not necessarily confusing. It's like, the thing is, if Cameroon were to win, which I think they will, they would top the group and Namibia would finish second. So, and they would both go through. So it's going to be an interesting one. Like, I'm intrigued to see how that situation plays out for the last match day, and especially when that isn't till next Tuesday for that particular game. Group D, signed, sealed and delivered as well, with Egypt top of the group, Guinea in second, Malawi third, Ethiopia fourth. Malawi just hoping to maybe cement third, but I feel Egypt will top the group regardless. Guinea should be second, and if I'm honest, I feel all 4 spots will kind of be where they are. Group E can go one of 3 ways. Ghana currently sit top, haven't lost a game, they have drawn 3 but won 2. Angola sits second with 2 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss with 8 points, and Central Africa Republic sit third with 7, 2 wins, 1 draw and 2 defeats. What I think could be seen as not necessarily a blessing, I think Ghana obviously had a draw against Central African Republic. That's probably what they will be hoping for, is get a draw, at least just qualify, but they will want to win to try and cement top, and possibly Angola should get a result against Madagascar. I'm surprised Madagascar's rock bottom as they are. Madagascar's not got a strong team, but they have got players that play in France and Belgium, especially and more so these days. But it's sometimes when you get like that for a group is quite it's well balanced, but it's also a bit of a challenging group when you kind of look at it as well. Group F, Algeria 5 from 5, they're signed, sealed and delivered. Tanzania have all the pressure on them to cement second. Tanzania are 3 points clear of Uganda, and with Uganda and Niger playing each other today, Uganda could really sneak into second, depending on results, to potentially get through, as it were, because it is important to highlight as well that the head-to-head with both, they've won 1, lost 1 each other, and they were both 1-0s. So depending on what Tanzania's result against Algeria, who have scored 9 and only conceded twice, it will be interesting to see how it shapes up. I think because it's in Algeria, it could be a hard one for Tanzania, but if with Algeria not really got anything to play for, they've done their job, they might play a rested team for this, and that's where Tanzania have to take advantage. Group G is pretty much signed, sealed and delivered as well, as Mali top of the group with 12 points. At the moment they can lose top spot, I believe, but it would need a massive goal swing to happen. Gambia play Congo in the battle for second. I feel Gambia probably just sneak this, if I'm honest. And South Sudan sit bottom of the group on 3 points. I don't see them sneaking into third. But yeah, it's signed. I think each spot at the moment is, in my opinion, where they'll individually finish. Mali, Gambia, Congo, South Sudan. Group H is signed, sealed and delivered. All that can be changed is top spot. And if I'm even honest, then I don't see it happening. I feel Zambia will top the group. Ivory Coast will take second. If anything was to happen, if honest, I would say Comoros could sneak a draw against Zambia, but I can't see it personally. I feel Zambia's just got too strong a squad for that tie. Democratic Republic of Congo, Mauritania, Gabon and Sudan all could get through in Group I, which is great to see. It's like anyone could get through. And if I'm actually honest, I was initially rooting for Mauritania until you realise it's Gabon's the last game, and I'm sure Aubameyang and Lemina, Buanga are all going to be all firing and trying to turn this around. What I find funny about Gabon is in 5 games they've only scored 2 goals but conceded 3, with 2 of the losses being 3 of the goals they've lost in the last 2 games. They lost 1-0 to Sudan and 2-0 to Democratic Republic of Congo. In the first 3 games they had 7 points, and you would have thought after 3 games pretty comfortable, they've got what they needed, but they've kind of fell away since. And if I'm honest, I feel at the moment Democratic Republic of Congo will top the group, and if I'm honest, Gabon will take second. I feel Gabon just look more rigid in terms of squad depth and talent in their team. But because the game is in Mauritania, I would not put past a draw in that game. If a draw was to happen, Gabon do not qualify. So it will be interesting to see how that one shapes up. Group J is signed, sealed and delivered. Equatorial Guinea top the group. Tunisia are second. Botswana third. Libya bottom. Tunisia can take, I think, top spot. I think they just have to win just to take this top spot, but even then the job's done, nothing to stress about with there. Group K is signed, sealed and delivered. 2 South Africa and Morocco are both through. Morocco are just playing for top spot, get a result against Liberia and they are through, so they don't really need to stress. They can maybe play a second string like squad as it were, but depending on how they want to go about it, they might just want to win comfortably and go from there. Group L, Senegal top of group, signed, sealed and delivered. Mozambique and Benin are playing for second, and that's what's great. It's like great that both of these nations have a real chance of qualifying. If I'm personally honest, I feel Mozambique just do enough, whether it be a draw or a win, and sadly Rwanda's just got nothing to play for. They are just obviously bottom of the group and have got the short straw with Senegal, where I'm sure Sadio Mane will be looking to make a statement. Also important to note, from countries that aren't mentioned at all, Kenya, Zimbabwe and Mauritius all disqualified from the tournament. So that's why when you look at the respective groups, why some of them only have 3, that is the reason for it. So that answers that question for people. Now, so that is Africa covered. We've briefly spoke about Asia because of obviously their circumstances, and we've talked about Europe and South America. Now we move over to North America with their respective Nations Leagues, because they're obviously similar, quite similar to how Europe is set up in terms of their approach to the UEFA Nations League, which is quite a good way to go about it, and I'm definitely a big fan of it. It gives these nations a chance to try and in essence qualify for bigger and better things really, and get through like obviously at the moment like it's structured basically the same as like Europe, where like they've got League A, League B, and League C. So it's like it's neat to see like some of the smaller countries like your but at the same time it does confuse people, because what I would say is, and I think this was like one point I noticed like immensely from this, is like for the CONCAF, is where you've got so many nations playing against like each other in their like there's such sizable groups, where it's like two groups is groups A and Group B are groups of 6, but then everyone in League B is 4, and then like all the League C ones are groups of 3. I just feel, if I'm honest, I feel having 6 in both groups is a bit pointless. Like yes, you're relegating 2, and you're kind of in essence promoting 2, but I just feel it's something that like could be just improved just a little bit better, like especially when what you've got to factor in as well for like the Nations League in particular is how like when you break down all the groups, like there's no like USA, there's no Mexico yet. They're like when it was like the last time round, I think the way they're structured is that when you kind of understand it, it's more to do with like how like USA and Mexico almost, it's like I feel like they get a buy in a sense, which is, I don't know why they do it. Like, but at the same time, it is important to note that Mexico, United States, Costa Rica, Canada are like the 4 that get like, as it were, given like free reign, as it were, which could be seen as unfair bias. But I suppose at the same time you've got to factor in like maybe there's like a better way to go about it, really. Like, yes, the top 4 seeds maybe automatically qualify, but at the same time, this is when you would say, if you've got 16 countries for League A, as it were, why not just say 4 groups of 4, and then that way, especially when you've got Group A, Group B, Group C, Group D for League B, just keeps it consistent. And I think also it means, like, depending how, because there's you're basically playing like 2 sets of games, I think, for each group, you can there is a chance you either get lost in the shuffle early. So say Guatemala and Martinique, for example, in Group A and League A were to get lost in the shuffle. Say they were bottom 2 up quite early on, and say Trinidad and Tobago were top of the group, and you're like, yeah, there's a bit of a, like, they're comfortable, and then say between the other 3 teams in the group, yes, they've still got something to play for, but it could be seen as boring, because it's like, oh, there's already quite a gap, and it's just something that I feel they, part of me, may want to like review like next time. Like, I know they've just changed it again, but like I think they may re-review it again. I feel it's just a bit too like convoluted. Not necessarily convoluted. I feel it's just a bit unfair on some countries, as it were. Like giving top 4 countries in the Confederation an advantage, knowing that they've already automatically qualified for I think the 2024 I think they get involved in Copa America, and also, as I said, because they're in the quarterfinals, it's a bit unfair, really. But it is what it is, and we just take it from there. So, anyways, let's get delving into the fixtures from each of the respective leagues, because there's obviously quite a lot of games going on from the first 2 rounds of fixtures. So in Group C, tonight is Anguilla v St Martin. Then League A is Trinidad and Tobago v Curacao. Curacao's that's a very even game. If I'm honest, a lot of these games are generally going to be quite even, because you've got to remember as well, quite a few of these nations nowadays have players that either play in Europe or MLS or Canada. So a lot of them now do play out with their own country, and sometimes having a couple players maybe that's out with your country just makes your team have a little bit of an edge. Group B, 2 games tonight as well. I should say that how the structure for the games to kind of really throw us is obviously you've got to factor in times. Group B, St Martin and St Lucia, and then St Kitts and Nevis and Guadeloupe. Then midnight game, UK time for Group C is United States Virgin Islands v the Cayman Islands, and then during the night for UK is Panama, Martinique, Guatemala v El Salvador in League A, with tomorrow night is Haiti v Cuba in League A. Group B, League B, for tomorrow night is Belize versus St Vincent and the Grenadines, Bermuda v French Guiana, and then the midnight games for these respective groups is League A's Grenada v Suriname, with Barbados, Montserrat, Dominican Republic v Nicaragua, with Jamaica, Honduras during the night game for UK time. It gets played at 2:10 in the morning for UK. When you look at all the games as well, I would say Suriname are probably one country with an intrigue about it, because some of these countries have went hard on player drives, like Jamaica and Suriname, probably 2 of the countries especially that have worked hard to try and bring players that are playing in Europe, where it be either Dutch or they play in maybe Germany or the Premier League or Championship, and if they have a connection to Jamaica or Suriname or whatever, or one of these countries, they're like, yes, you're maybe a resident of France or Netherlands or whatever, but you've not been representing these countries. Would you like to represent Jamaica or Suriname or Bermuda or French Guiana or whoever? And it's how these countries have suddenly seen such an improvement in their squads, but it also then creates the discussion of, could they qualify for a World Cup? I think Jamaica haven't qualified, since 2002, I want to say, but it's just always fun to actually see how it develops, and you never know what might happen if one of these countries were to make the international stage. So from there, Saturday night's games is Antigua and Barbuda v Guyana on League B. League C has British Virgin Islands v Turks and Caicos Islands. Then Bahamas v Puerto Rico, with second round of fixtures starting on Sunday, with Martinique v Curacao in League A, St Lucia v St Kitts and Nevis in Group B. It's important to note as well, St Lucia, even though they're in League B, they had San Marino not that long ago, and San Marino gave St Lucia a game. So it's like, it's almost encouraging knowing for San Marino that they're playing a team that's in League B, as it were, rather than a League C nation. So I thought I'd bring that point up. Then, like, going still on with like the Sunday into Monday games, Guatemala v Panama, El Salvador v Trinidad and Tobago, with Monday night Cayman Islands v Aruba, and Dominican Republic v Montserrat, Saint Martin v Bonaire, kicking off their good ties, with the Tuesday night, during the night, Nicaragua v Barbados. Then in that evening, French Guiana v Belize, St Vincent and the Grenadines v Bermuda, Cuba v Suriname, Turks and Caicos Islands v Dominica, with Guyana, Bahamas. Then in Wednesday morning is Puerto Rico v Antigua and Barbuda, Jamaica v Haiti, Honduras v Grenada, rounding off League A and B respectively. But it's like, you've got to remember as well, for like Jamaica especially, with that being into Wednesday morning UK time, players like Leon Bailey, Michael Antonio, and others that play in Europe especially, anyone that's playing like a Saturday or a Sunday, it's a long journey back into like Europe, so it's almost, they're maybe getting back into Europe, say Thursday, like say afternoon, early evening, that they've almost got to hope and pray that they're like a Saturday into like either Saturday evening or a Sunday during the daytime game, because they won't have too much time to get back up to speed in training for match days. So it's kind of important to factor in as well. Like in terms of like the groups in general, and when I look at League A, I am of the mindset Trinidad and Tobago, Panama and Curacao could be the top three. Bottom three could be Guatemala, El Salvador, Martinique, but that's just from an outsider's view looking in. Group B, I am of the mindset Jamaica, Cuba. It's a more even group. Jamaica, Cuba, Honduras, Suriname and Haiti could all take any of the top five. I feel Jamaica are probably the strongest. Suriname could take second, but Cuba, Honduras are quite well balanced, and Haiti have decent balance throughout their squad. Grenada maybe propping up the group. League B, for Group A, I feel Guadeloupe's probably just the strongest, with St Kitts and Nevis maybe second. Important to note for Groups A to D, it's top of the group qualify for League A, with bottom of the group taking League C. I feel St Martin and St Lucia fight out for bottom of the group in Group A. Group B quite even, and I'd probably say either Dominican Republic or Montserrat take the top spot, but it's a very even group, so anyone could finish top, anyone could finish bottom, and that's what sometimes you've got to factor in, that one of those nations could be bottom in the bottom group, and sometimes that's the way the dice falls. Group C, I'm of the mindset French Guiana and Bermuda probably just enough, but it's another fairly evenish group, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Group D is another fairly balanced group. Puerto Rico maybe just enough with Guyana. but it's going to be interesting nonetheless, because all four have, as I say, a real chance of getting through into League A. Then when you look at the bottom of the pile for like League C, for what I know of each of the nations, I would probably say Anguilla or St. Martin. What I like is like top of the group gets League B, but then I think the second place, the top three nations then fight it out for like their own like promotion spot, because obviously there's only three groups, but you need to find a fourth, and it then becomes quite an interesting battle that all three groups have a real chance then of trying to take a fight for promotion to like League B. Like, if I'm honest, like, it's when I'm really not sure. I would say like the likes of the Cayman Islands, Turks and Caicos, Britishford, like, they're probably going to be bottom of their groups, Bonaire, but it's, like, you never know, like, because this is when it's the small nations and you really genuinely do not know. Even when you've looked at a previous year's one, you say to yourself, you do say to yourself, I genuinely do not know. And that's what makes for a fun conundrum at the end of the day. Obviously, even though international break is ongoing, there is still like friendlies and for like club and country. So some like whether it be like under 21s, but also like just clubs just try to get friendlies in just to keep themselves fit over this period. What I find funny over this period as well is Spain's second tier is like one of the few leagues just now that's still got their fixtures ongoing for like a top 5 nation, as it were. So like, fair play if you've got any, if you're a fan of any of the second division teams like your Tenerifes and Gijons and Levantes. Obviously, like League 1, League 2 and the National League get front and centre for this weekend coming. It's important to note as well, quite a few of the League 1 games are postponed due to like the international break still, so they'll get caught up like during midweek, for example. So that'll be handy if you're someone that's got a like when there's midweek fixtures that'll be caught. What I found interesting over this international break is Moreirense and Braga is getting played on Saturday evening, which I was like very strange. I thought, like, I'm so used to seeing maybe England and maybe like say Spain, but like MLS and as I say, that Braga Moreirense game being played, and I was like, I couldn't quite understand it. I thought, but then again, there will be reasons behind it, and like usually what you notice with like the international break is that leagues don't happen, or certain games don't happen in their leagues because teams are missing players for their international break that could impact the results. So that's why I was quite surprised, say like Peru and Colombia and MLS were like ongoing like during this period, because you would say to yourself, like, why are you in essence playing during an international break? Because you would think players from these teams and leagues, even like Spanish second tier, you'd say to yourself, surely there's players away that could impact results, as it were, because people would make an argument saying, oh, my team's missing 3 players, they're all starters. It's not ideal. So it's definitely something that I feel just how it's kind of going, really. But is what it is, and we take it from there. So quite an in-depth and quite a long international break, giving some love. But let me know, folks, if your country is playing at all, and what your hopes are over the international break, or if you're fussed. Should they review it, all that kind of stuff. How do they review it? Is there anything that they should implement? And just go from there. So have a good one, folks. Take it easy all, and I will catch you all later.